I've had some requests to talk about disability and fibromyalgia, and fibromyalgia is a condition I encounter frequently during disability exams. So that's my topic for today. Hello, I'm John Foster. I'm a medical doctor who does Social Security disability exams, and as usual, everything I say reflects my own opinions based on my own experience and study, and not the opinions of the Social Security Administration or any other medical body. Now, there's some good news and bad news about fibromyalgia and disability. And as usual, don't yell at me in the comments for the bad news. I'm simply passing Social Security's rules and regulations on to you, and I don't make those rules and regulations. First of all, Social Security does have fibromyalgia on their radar, and I'm going to provide a link in the description to the video below about how Social Security evaluates people with fibromyalgia for disability. The bad news is that fibromyalgia is a fairly difficult condition to get approved for disability. And the reason is that it's a completely subjective condition. It relies entirely on the patient's opinions and feelings. It has no objective findings. That means there are no things that you can see or hear or smell on the physical exam, like a rash or a heart murmur. And there are no tests, such as tests of the blood or urine, x-rays, MRIs, CT scans, ultrasounds, or pathology, where you take a sample of tissue and examine it under the microscope that show that a person has fibromyalgia. In fact, if you think that a person has fibromyalgia and it turns out that they do have objective signs on the physical exam or in laboratory tests, then the diagnosis is wrong. They don't have fibromyalgia. They have something else. I had a recent comment from a person who said that they had fibromyalgia and it was an autoimmune condition. And that is wrong. The immune system is the part of the body that looks for bad things that shouldn't be in the body and tries to get rid of them and kill them. Bad things being things like germs, viruses, parasites, bacteria, and other bad things like cancers or foreign bodies like splinters. In an autoimmune disease, the immune system goes haywire and attacks a good part of the body as if it was something bad, like a germ. For example, in autoimmune hepatitis, the immune system attacks a normal liver. Rheumatoid arthritis is another autoimmune condition, and in it, the immune system attacks normal joints. And the hallmark of autoimmune conditions is activation of the immune system, which produces inflammation. And autoimmune diseases do produce objective signs on physical exam, and there are tests which show signs of inflammation. The tests can be tests of the blood, urine, pathology, and also often imaging, such as x-rays or MRI scans. So fibromyalgia is not an autoimmune condition. To make the diagnosis of fibromyalgia, several things are needed. First of all, for Social Security, the condition must have been present for at least 3 months. It can be intermittent, which means that it comes and goes, but it has to have been present for at least 3 months. There must be widespread pain in all 4 quadrants of the body, which means the person must have pain above and below the waist, on the right side and the left side of their body. So all 4 quadrants. And there must be tenderness in certain designated areas of the body. And what's required is that the examining doctor press on those areas and the patient report that that is painful. That's tenderness. Everything else must be normal. In fact, Social Security requires that the doctors have made sure that no other condition is causing the widespread pain. And to do that usually involves a general physical exam, tests of the blood, possibly tests of the urine, and often imaging studies. And you're looking for things like autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis or systemic lupus erythematosus, widespread infections, such as, for example, tuberculosis or Lyme disease. Now, like every other painful condition, when somebody's applying for disability, pain is not enough to qualify for disability. There must be limitation of the ability to work. For example, saying that your legs hurt will not qualify you for disability. Saying that you can only stand for a maximum of 5 to 10 minutes and then you have to sit down and rest because of pain in your legs is the sort of thing that may qualify you for disability. And it's important to be specific. Don't say something like, I can't stand very long, because nobody has any idea what you mean. Do you mean you can't stand 1 minute? Do you can't stand 15 minutes? I had one patient who told me once they couldn't stand very long, and when I asked them how long they could stand, they said, oh, about 4 hours. So if you're having trouble with things like standing or lifting, you need to find out how long you can stand, how far you can walk, what sort of weight you can lift. You need to be specific. That's how you get your disability claim approved. So here is what it takes to get a claim for fibromyalgia disability approved. Number 1, you need medical records. I recently watched a YouTube video by a Social Security disability attorney, and he said his number 1 piece of advice to his clients was go to the doctor, go to the doctor, go to the doctor. You need to have medical records documenting your condition and your response or lack of response to treatment. The number 1 reason disability claims get denied is lack of good medical records. If you go to the doctor regularly and your condition doesn't change, it's important that when you see the doctor and they ask how you're doing, you don't give some version of, I'm doing fine. You want to get in the medical record that your pain or problems or whatever are continuous and unchanging, if that's the case. In general, Social Security uses the 1990 American College of Rheumatology diagnostic criteria for fibromyalgia. There are 3 criteria. The first is pain in 4 quadrants of the body, above and below the waist, on the right and left side. The second is tenderness of fibropoints. In the description to the video below, I'll include a link to the American College of Rheumatology's diagram of fibropoints. Social Security requires at least 11 of these points. There are a total of 18, but 11 minimum must be tender. And the third criteria is that there is evidence that other conditions that could cause the symptoms have been excluded, and I already discussed that. Finally, for any medical condition, Social Security likes specialists' opinion. And I've heard from Social Security disability attorneys that something that will really help a fibromyalgia claim is an opinion from a specialist in rheumatology, a rheumatologist. Rheumatologists are specialists in conditions of the bones, ligaments, and muscles. Well, I hope this has been helpful, and as always, remember, if it happens, it's possible.